So Heidelberg versus Newcastle Jets in the final of Australia Cup 2025. That game will be played on the 4th of October. The semi-finals weren't supposed to be for another couple of weeks, but they were moved forward just for a little scheduling, I guess, kind of benefit, getting them in while they could. So we're going to have to wait a little while, but what we're expecting to learn on, I think by the end of this week, is where the final will be played. Now, we can take two goes at this debate. One, whether it should be played in Newcastle or Melbourne, and I think myself and a lot of people have strong opinions that that should be in Melbourne. I just think the soul of what this competition is demands that it be in Melbourne for Heidelberg fans to be out in full force with. But then which Melbourne stadium do you pick? AAMI Park. It's funny, I was talking to some mates the other day saying that AAMI Park was unavailable for the night of the Cup final, and just off the cuff, I just said, because, you know, there were monster trucks, just as the kind of default answer of something being booked in a stadium where, you know, football couldn't be played. And then I looked it up, and it actually is monster trucks that is on the 4th of October at AAMI Park. So they will not be played there because there are monster trucks going around. But what other venues could we go? The home of the Matildas, Paletti informs us, lacks the, what was it? What's the fancy people go in their dining halls, whatever? Corporate facilities, there we go. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Apologies. But then we have other things like Lakeside Stadium, a little bit bigger, I think around 13,000 is the capacity there. Yeah. Obviously, it's got the athletics track, not the ideal atmosphere, but a much more boutique venue. And obviously, it is the home ground of Heidelberg's sworn enemy, South Melbourne. But then the Olympic Village as well. Could you get it in there? I'm not exactly sure what, you know, the health and safety limit on what the crowd can be. There were 3,000, just a little bit over, packed in on Saturday night, and that atmosphere was awesome. That was really cool. I'm sure they could fit a few more into there. If you get towards the 5, 6, 7s of really, you know, passionate football people, I think that would be a great success for the tournament, Christian. And wherever they find a place for this home, just please let it be in Melbourne and not in Sydney or in Newcastle, because for me, it just goes against the ethos of what the Cup is.
And just to confirm, this isn't biased because we both live in Melbourne, Lockie. We just want to see it in Melbourne because we want to see Heidelberg, you know, obviously playing Melbourne with their fans and host it.
If it was Sydney NPL teams, I'd be saying the exact same thing. I promise.
Just confirming to our audience, just so they don't get the wrong impression. But no, I'm fully on board with you. I think it's the magic of the Cup, right? To have a team like Heidelberg in the final, it'd lose that touch, that magic, if you had it over in Newcastle, Sydney, wherever you want to play it over there, and have a majority of Jets fans. I mean, the diehard Heidelberg fans obviously travel across, but it's not going to be the same atmosphere, the same environment. You know, for a Cup final, you just love to see a smaller team like that, not in the A-League, to host that final. So I hope they come up with a solution. It's difficult without AAMI Park. You sort of have to scramble and say, okay, does this fit the criteria in terms of, you know, corporate seats? Because that's, at the end of the day, they just care about, you know, the corporates getting those in sponsorships and the capacity.
What is not all they care about?
Well, what is the stadium that's going to fill the most, right? How is it going to look on TV? Is it going to be marketable? Is it going to be a marketable product for a final? That's, I think, the criteria that they're going to be judging off, right? So they have to take all that into account. And if they find the stadium that ticks all those boxes, then I think it's a no-brainer. They should be.
Put it at Marvel or something.
Look, the
MCG.
The Australia Cup. The Australia Cup is all about connecting the grassroots of Australian football. Even if AAMI Park was available, is that achieving that goal? Nah, probably not. If it's Melbourne Victory Macarthur, I understand. But I was at that game and that atmosphere was horrible, right? And they're not going to get more than that into AAMI Park. So what kind of atmosphere are we creating at that venue? And then you go down the list of options and, you know, you connect. And if you play it at Newcastle McDonald Jones Stadium, you're going to get a few, you know, thousand Newcastle fans and you know, the local general football support, and then a couple of hundred maybe Heidelberg fans travelling up as well. Is that achieving that goal? I'd argue probably not.
I think it's a difficult one, right? And I kind of want to play devil's advocate a little bit here as well, but I'm not 100% au fait with the competition regulations. But is it not that it's randomly selected where it'll be hosted? I feel
it's not randomly selected. Football Australia just have their ability to put it wherever they want.
Right. I feel like in the past they used to draw which city it was going to be in, but okay.
Perhaps they did that if they didn't have a reasonable argument either way.
Yeah.
They
so-
absolutely have full discretion.
Okay, well there you go. There goes my argument of it's just going to be hosted wherever is drawn. But no, in that case, there should be no reason not to try and make Olympic Park work. I think it just would be such a cool thing to see, and like how much can it cost to get some temporary standing in, and just chuck some stands in, and just hire them out for the day or whatever. And then,
See, that's the thing. Like,
because that's what Perth did at Macedonia Park, right? For a year with the A League, when the stuff was going on with their stadium at HBF, they went to Macedonia Park and just put up some temporary stands. That I feel like that's feasible, right?
It probably, like, in general, yes. It's probably not actually what you do at Olympic Village. For those that haven't been there, you can kind of see it on the broadcast, but from the Australia Cup broadcast side, the opposite side that you can see on camera is kind of like 15 to 20 meters of really small inclined steps with some seats on it and just lots and lots of standing room. And that's a good place to get probably 2,000 maybe people under there safely, and then you got people lining the fence on the other side. There's not really room at either end, like behind the goals, to put in temporary seating at all. So it's kind of just standing room around the whole field. But you could get that probably up to 6 or 7. And if that's packed out, that's probably the ideal. But again, we're not 100% across all the different standards for what Christian, like an Australia Cup final venue, has to have in terms of, those all those corporate facilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like I said before, it comes down to their criteria. I'd love to know what that certain criteria is, because they're obviously going off by something, right? Otherwise, it's logical to have it in Melbourne to let Heidelberg host. So, yeah, I think if it's in Newcastle, it just wouldn't be the same, in my opinion. All due respect to Newcastle, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't deserve to host the final. I'm just saying Heidelberg would be a better feel-good story, and just sort of emphasises the cup and what it means. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. When does the decision come out again, Lockie? End of this week?
End of the week.
We'll find out. Yeah, so we'll find out then. But yeah, fingers crossed, hoping for a Melbourne outcome. But again,
I will say they managed to, apparently, according to AusStadiums.com, who are pretty on top of this stuff, they managed to squeeze in over 11,000 against Melbourne City in the 2015 FFA Cup. So,
really?
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly it's feasible that even, above 6,000 or 7,000, which is kind of what we're looking at here, they can fit them in. What was that? Sorry, Christian?
Where was that? Where was that stadium?
That was at Olympic Village.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was in the 2015 Cup. So, like, they've got precedent of having had big crowds there before. So,
All right, sounds like we're all in on
Let's
Olympic Village